Hello everyone, I'm Annie. I will introduce Jacquard drawing in this lesson. In Longxing pattern design system, Jacquard drawing steps are as follows, divided into 5 steps. Pattern drawing with Jacquard colors. Set the Jacquard back organization. Set the Jacquard yarn carrier. Set compare parameters and compare. Next, each step will be introduced in details. Draw a pattern with Jacquard colors. Jacquard colors are divided into 2 groups. The first group of Jacquard colors include 231 to 239. The second group of Jacquard colors include 241 to 249. Note: the second group of Jacquard colors are only used for Jacquard V-neck and round. For example, in this pattern, you can see in the left side of the V-neck, there use the color 231 is the first group of Jacquard colors. And in the right side of the V-neck, there use the color 241 is the second group of Jacquard colors. When the Jacquard pattern is drawn on pattern layer, it's only allowed to use different colors for different yarn carriers, and colors can't be used repeatedly. Compared with intarsia, if the intarsia area is enclosed, different yarn carriers can be used for one color, but the Jacquard is different. One yarn carrier is set for one Jacquard color, that is, the colors correspond to yarn carriers one by one. One yarn carrier is set for one Jacquard color, no matter whether it's an enclosed area. Below is an example. First, to create a new canvas. Then through the craft date to shape a pattern. We can directly use the Jacquard colors to draw the pattern. Generally, we use 231 to 239 colors. In there, we use 231 to draw the pattern first. Note in there, the double side part to one side part. We usually leave 2 lines in order to let the back needle transfer to front back needle, or the back side will be hung loop. In the function 207, we usually let these 2 lines in a spirit density. Like we set these 2 lines, the density is 6. Then you can use the other Jacquard colors to draw the pattern. Now we use 232, 233 to draw the pattern. Now in this pattern, you can see we use 3 Jacquard colors, so in function 214. Right-click, we choose 3 color Jacquard, and in there we choose the back organization, like we choose match one by one. Then we fill this line from the starting Jacquard color to the ending Jacquard color. We also can through the picture to draw the Jacquard. Click Import Picture, then click Select Image. Then in there, we can choose the picture you want to import, like we choose this. Then we click there to adjust the size. Then click this to dividing the interval is 2. Move the mouse and fix the picture in a suitable position, like we fix the picture in there. Now we fill this picture with Jacquard colors. Like for this area, we use Jacquard color 232. For this area, we also use 231. Now you can see in this pattern, we only use 2 Jacquard colors, so in function 214, we choose 2 color Jacquard, and in there we choose the back organization, like we choose back. Then we fill those lines. If you don't set the back organization, the default mode is float Jacquard. That is, there are no needles in the back organization. After the back organization is set the Intasia yarn carrier. You can click Yarn Setting. In there, you can set the yarn carrier. You also can click Compare. Then in there, click Yarn Setting. Now we also can set the yarn carrier. Like we set the yarn carrier is 3 and 5. We also can set the knitting sequence. In default, the system will automatically optimize the knitting sequence. Sometimes it's not what we want, so we should force the knitting sequence of yarn carriers. For example, if your required knitting sequence is 232, 231, fill in the sequence row like this. The knitting sequence of yarn carriers is as follows. Yarn carrier 5 is used for knitting, then yarn carrier 3 is used for knitting. In there, you can set the initial position of the yarn carrier. You can set it on the right or left. Now, you can see the yarn carrier 5 is on the right and yarn carrier 3 is on the left. You also can set it all on the left. Now we click yarn carrier 5. Move it to the left. After the yarn carrier is set, next compile parameters should be set. Jacquard compile parameters are mainly used into float yarn treatment and torque connection. First, introduce float yarn treatment. Float yarn treatment is generally used for float yarn Jacquard. When float yarns are too long in the float yarn Jacquard, float yarns should be treated. Now, like in this pattern, first we set the Jacquard back. In function 214, right click, we choose 2 color Jacquard and we choose non-knitting. Then we fill the all Jacquard colors. Then click Yarn Setting, set the yarn carrier. Like we set the yarn carrier is 3 and 4. Now look at the maximum float yarn length in the pattern. You can see the longest float yarn in this pattern is 8 needles. Now compare. Now you can see the float yarn don't have any treatment. Missing may easily occur during knitting. In this case, float yarn treatment should be carried out. First, click Yarn Setting, then click Jacquard. Now in there, we can set Jack yarn type, the tack position, space, and floating length. The floating length is the minimum needles of the floating processing. When the Jacquard knitting float is more than the floating length, use the Jack yarn type and the tack position to deal floating. Adjacent tack or knitting interval is the space value. In the Jack yarn type, click. Now you can see the tack mode. They have not built, front tack, back tack, front and rear tack, front tack and back knit. Back knitting. Now we choose back knitting. The tack position and space we also choose center and 2. Floating length is 6. Now we compare. You can see when the floating yarn distance is more than 6 needles, back knitting treatment will be performed. Then doffing after knitting. The back knitting and doffing positions are uniformly distributed. You also can choose the other Jack yarn type, like we choose front tack. Now you can see the float yarn treatment is like this. The rest of you can try by yourself. This is the float yarn treatment of Jacquard, then introduce tack connection. Similar to cancel tack of Intasha, when tack is not required for the Jacquard color, take the corresponding Jacquard color. The tack of this Jacquard color will be cancelled. Generally, the full Jacquard is free from tack at the connection, but for local Jacquard, in general, in order to increasing the fabric thickness or connecting the front side and back side, when yarn carrier is separately used for making tacks, divided into front tack, back tack, and so on. These tack organizations are called lacquer. In Longxing pattern design system, lacquer is divided into single round lacquer and one round lacquer, support two segment lacquer. On function line 213, right click and you can see the tack mode on the second row. It includes one round tack and single round tack. Now we can see the difference. Now you can see this is front back 1 by 1 tack. This is front back 1 by 1 tack, 1 round. Those are front back 1 by 1 full tack. Those are front 1 by 1 tack, back 1 by 1 tack, front tack, back tack, 1 by 1 tack. Generally, we use the front back 1 by 1 tack mode or front back 4 1 by 1 tack mode. It also supports two segment lacquer. It's generally used for V-neck jacquard. Now, like in this pattern, when lacquer is knit, lacquer should be made for the body left V-neck and right V-neck. Now first we set the back organization in function 214. Right click, we choose to color jacquard. Now in there we also choose back organization. Then we fill those lines. Then in function 213, right-click. We set the tag mode is front-back 1x1 tag. Then we also fill those lines. Then click Yarn Setting. Now in there we set the yarn carrier, like we set the yarn carrier is 2, 5, 3, and 6. Now in this pattern, 241, 242 is the right V-neck, so we set the yarn carrier 5 and 6 are on the right. 231, 232, we set the yarn carrier on the left. Then click Jacquard to set the two segments of lacquer. Those parameters are used for setting the yarn carrier and segments of lacquer. The yarn carrier and segments designated by two parameters are used for lacquer of the first group of Jacquard colors. This is the yarn carrier and segments of lacquer for the body and left V-neck. The second segment of lacquer refers to lacquer of the right V-neck. This is the lacquer of the second group of Jacquard colors. This is the yarn carrier and segments of lacquer for the right V-neck. Now in there, you can see the left lacquer yarn is 7 and right lacquer yarn is 8. And the lacquer parameters are all 23. Now you can see the yarn carrier 8 is on the right and yarn carrier 7 is on the left. Then compare. Now you can see this is a 1x1 front back tag in the middle of Jacquard. The Jacquard there is back shaped. In function line 215. Now you can see the yarn carrier for lacquer of the body is 7 yarn carrier. The yarn carrier for lacquer of the left V-neck is 7 yarn carrier. Those designated first group of yarn carriers for lacquer. The yarn carrier for lacquer of right V-neck is 8 yarn carrier. Designated yarn carriers for two-segment lacquer. There is designated of the Jacquard V-neck two lacquer yarn carriers and segments. In this way, when ramps are joined with Jacquard colors, the lacquer for left and right ramps can be designated directly on function line 213. Those are simple Jacquard drawing. Now let's see the application of color 0, 16, 240, 210 in this section. Color 0 defined as no knitting of front band and back band and no transfer. Color 16 defined as only back knitting, no front knitting and automatic transfer. Color 240 defined as only back knitting, no front knitting and no transfer. Color 210 defined as only front knitting, no back knitting and automatic transfer. Now in those pictures, you can see there the back organization is back. And you can see there those four colors difference. There use color there. Now you can see the back organization. They don't have front and back knitting and they don't have transfer. They use color 16. They're only back knitting and they have transfer. They use color 240. They're also only back knitting, but they don't have transfer. They use color 210. They're only front knitting and they have transfer. Now in this pattern, they use these four colors. Now let's see the difference. Because color 0 and 240, they don't have transfer, so before use these two colors, they must use transfer color. Color 16 and 210, because they have transfer, so we can directly use these colors. This is the fabric. This picture is the front side, and this picture is the back side. Through these two pictures, you can see color 0, the front side and back side are float yarn. Color 210, the front is knit and back is float yarn. Color 16 and 240, those are similar, because before we use color 240, we use transfer color. We also can see the simulation. We can click Simulation Preview. Now you can see this is the front side. This is color 0. This is color 16, 240, 210. We also can see the back organization. We can click View Back. Now you can see those are similar as the fabric. Okay, this lesson ends here. See you next time.